Okay, so let's talk about how we can animate each of these objects. Let's start with the simplest, which is going to be this wheel. Now we can still work in groups, right? If I wanted to, I could still make a group for our steering apparatus here. So I could just hit Control G, and we can just call this steering. Right? And so what I do want to recognize is that this is going to be the easiest of all of the types of animations that we're going to be looking at. So currently I do have some transforms on here. I'm going to go modify and freeze my transformations. So to animate this wheel, all I have to do is animate the rotation of the y-axis, right? Now, it's probably worth mentioning that sometimes I click in the wrong spot and I animate all the axes, and then my wheel gets really messed up, right? So there's some tricks to this that if we want to isolate this thing and make it more easy to focus on what we're animating, again, we can manually just focus on rotate Z. But one of the other things we can do is we can disable these other channels. If I don't ever think I'm going to be moving it, right, I can select everything except for Translate Z. I highlight everything here, hit rotate Z, click that. And I can right click on these and say lock selected, or I could do lock and hide selected. It's not hard to get them back, but it's a couple extra steps. So for right now, I'm just going to do lock selected. And what you'll see now is that if I try to move these, I can't. This object doesn't actually have the option to move now, right? And that means even on rotate, I can't rotate it in these other axes. The only axis I can rotate it in is my rotate Z. Now I will say that those numbers I think are still keyable. Like if I hit S, I may be wrong, but I think that they're still possible to set keyframes on those. But what we're getting right now is I can then just animate that one channel, and I kind of have this very simple thing, right? But recognize what we are doing here is animating the entire object. I'm going to undo that. That when I am animating this, I am animating this at the object level, right? I am rotating the object of the steering wheel. Right? This whole mesh is rotating. So that's important. Like that is a very specific type of animation, and it allows us to control it very easy because we are just setting keyframes on the values that are in our outliner here. So in the next few videos, we will move into slightly different ways that we might want to animate an object, but really, for our purposes, this is ready to animate. And if this is actually getting distracting that I'm accidentally selecting this part, I can actually still add this to our environment layer so we don't see them anymore. Or if you don't want to be able to animate these, you could actually just lock the selected for all of that as well. And even though I can select it, I can't actually move it, right? So either of those will work. I think for me, I'm going to go ahead and add those to the environment layer right now. And so now I have the ability to animate this wheel.